can achieve this. All right, so I'm going to start by telling us the difference between sex and gender. Sex refers to the different biological and psychological characteristics of males and females, while gender is a social construct, social constructed characteristics of male and female. All right, so equal rights and opportunity for boys and girls will help all children fulfill their potentials. That is when we don't stereotype that a particular function is for a girl and a particular function is for a boy. You know, the world we live in now, we are taught that, okay, girls are the weaker vessels, boys are stronger, boys are supposed to be doctors, girls are supposed to be nurses, and things like that. All right, so gender equality simply means equal access of males and females to spaces, opportunities, and rewards in our society. Why gender equity supports each gender to have this gender equality that we just spoke about, so that there will be the same there will be the same level playing field for all, both boys and girls, without anybody feeling some type of way. And also the suggestions we had from our previous session, how we can inculcate this into our kids, into our children at all educational levels. Number one is that we should be reflective and objective. That is, in our ways, in our talks, in everything we do, we should be reflective of what we are preaching. We should be objective as well. Hello, please, are you with me?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. All right, another means of inculcating this gender responsiveness is to use gender neutral languages. That is, you don't say, okay, because you're a boy, you do this, because you're a girl, you do this. You make sure you use language that is neutral to involve everyone, not particularly specifying, saying this boy or this girl. Also, we should avoid stereotyping children, just like what I mentioned earlier. Also, we should sit and group children intentionally. Use project-based learning, avoid separating supplies or materials by gender, and also to be a role model to the kids that we teach. So now I would like to call on our team lead from the Sustainability Hub, in the person of Mujida Ajibola, to take us on to the next level. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening,
Hi.
and thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Um, Somehow I cannot see my video. I can't see my screen as well. Is it from my end, or somebody else can see my screen from there?
Yes, I can
Okay.
see you.
Yeah, but you can't see my screen, right?
No, I can't see your screen.
Okay, I don't know what's happening, maybe network issues, but as soon as we can, as soon as it comes up, I'll share the screen. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. And today, like Donya said, we are going to be talking about gender responsive classrooms. So we're going to be looking at what gender responsive classrooms are, why they are necessary, and we are going to look at those things that we like we usually say, these things are not things that we are conscious of most of the time, because they have been there before we were born. We grew up, we got into that process of socialization, and so we don't even understand that these things are actually biases. Yeah, so today we are going to be pinpointing them that, okay, this particular, and we're going to be working along three main lines. We're going to be talking about gender responsive communication, which could also be language. We're going to be talking about gender responsive lesson planning, and we're going to be talking about gender responsive teaching materials that we use for our students. Because trust me, these things are just everywhere. Okay, so what exactly are gender responsive classrooms, and why are we talking about gender responsive classrooms today? Gender responsive classrooms are classrooms that take into consideration the unique characteristics and also the unique needs of both boys and girls. And this happens both inside and outside the classroom. So if I am a teacher, I don't only ensure that my classroom, in terms of the four walls of the class, is gender responsive. I also ensure that my students understand and they have a feel of gender responsive education even within the school compound. So it's not something that is limited to the four walls of your classroom, and once they move into the corridor, it stops. No, it doesn't work that way. Also, gender responsive classrooms ensure that the teachers themselves, because a lot of times students learn more than the academics, like the mathematics and English they go to school to learn. They pick up behaviors of teachers, they pick up attitudes of teachers, and this is because apart from the parents, children understand that their teachers are role models. They understand that they know more than them. And because of that, they are able, they understand that they should, even from parents tell students when they're going to school, oh, listen to your teacher, whatever your answer says you should do, whatever your teacher says you shouldn't do, you don't do. So from there, the student understand, okay, whatever my teacher says, most of the time, I should take it in hook, line, and sinker. And this does not stop at the teacher's training in school, right? So the teacher comes to class with their academic training from the teacher training colleges or the universities. They also come to class with their own personality, their biases, their perspectives to life, the way they respond to situations, their emotional intelligence. So it's like a full package. And it is that same full package that we as educators transmit to these students. And that is why this is very important. Our own thoughts, our perspectives about gender come into play at this point. And we are seeing these things happening. So we feel there's a need for us to talk more about gender responsive classrooms and how we can do this. And before we can talk about, and before teachers can be gender responsive in their practice, they should understand what it actually means to be gender responsive. You have to understand what gender means, that gender is different from sex, as Doyin has said. It is a like a set of unwritten rules that are just set by, well, I don't know who, right? Yeah, so, and these rules are things that eventually guide people. So teaching staff in gender responsive classrooms are gender aware, and they're also gender responsive in their planning and facilitation of courses. And they also continuously reflect, because as a teacher, one of the most important things for us to do is to be reflective in our practices. So I tried this method of teaching today. At the end of the day, I would like to see the outcome of this method that I have tried. Is it making sense? Is it not making sense? Has it given me the learning outcomes I actually want to achieve in these students? So apart from gender issues, as a teacher, we should always be reflective in everything we do. Also, when teachers are gender aware, they should also look at their circumstances. Say, okay, this particular method of teaching, or this particular thing I introduced in class today, is it sufficient for my circumstances? Because the truth is, all of us have different circumstances. Some of us teach in low-income communities. Some other teachers teach in places that they are privileged, while some people teach in places that are just like middle average. Yeah, and at the end of the day, gender-responsive classrooms also use teaching methods and learning materials that don't just teach the concept. So there's a difference between teaching a topic in, say, social studies. We're teaching the family unit, and we're just churning out that content. There's a difference between that and understanding how the concept is actually taught. Anybody can teach the concept. Anybody can teach that content of the curriculum. But how do we teach them? Starting from our body language. How we also need to understand how the learning process takes place. So for instance, I am teaching family as a topic, and I bring up this picture. It's so unfortunate I can't get access to my slides, I'm sorry. So, and I bring out this picture of the family unit where the father, mother, and maybe 2 or 4 children are present. And what we see in the picture is probably the father it's not bad to relax. Yeah, the father relaxing with a newspaper or playing football, stuff like that. And then we have the mother backing the baby of the family, the little child, backing a baby, taking the bath for the older one, trying to cook, doing like, we see these pictures on the internet where a woman has like 4, 5 hands, right? It's not bad to be able to multitask, but in this context where the woman is doing like 10, 15 tasks at the same time, and there's a picture of the man in the same family unit, in the same house at the same time, sitting and acting like it's not none of his business. Without even saying anything, we have passed something across to the students that, okay, it's the job of the woman to do everything in the house. She doesn't even deserve to be assisted. She doesn't require a helping hand. She just must be able to do this. And the little boy grows up feeling, oh, our job is just to like, just breathe in, breathe out, and have fun. So these are the things we are going to be looking at today, talking about how we are teaching these concepts and how boys and girls interpret this. So the girl feels, okay, I have to do everything. I have to be responsible for everything. And at such a young age, she already internalizes that process, that she has to be the one doing everything. Meanwhile, the boy gets a different message. So while being taught the same thing, the girl gets a particular message, the boy gets another message. Interesting. So we're going to also start looking at, like, breaking them down now. We want to start from the language we use as teachers. We have seen cases where a teacher intends to teach about maybe occupations or let me say environmental sanitation. And the teacher uses pronouns like she, her, she, her, while teaching about environmental sanitation. The teacher doesn't have to say, oh, cleaning is a woman's responsibility. From the pronouns alone, whoever is listening to the teacher, probably you have 3 lessons in a week, you listen to the teacher first lesson, it's all about she does this, the women do this, the women do that, the girls do that. Next lesson, same thing happens. Next lesson, same thing happens. You are subconsciously telling us that, okay, this is a woman's responsibility. And that shapes the mindset of the boys that, okay, it's not our business. And that's the same behavior they take to their families at home, the same behavior they take into their communities, and the same behavior they imbibe as they grow in life. So all of these behaviors we are seeing manifesting today are not, they didn't just start today. They've been there for ages, and they are not the responsibilities of just the parents. They're the responsibilities of all of us, all members of the society. So we are looking at our own responsibility today as educators. Also, when teachers talk about these gender biases, whether they know it or they don't know it, right? When teachers talk about these things, it tends to reinforce the gender inequalities we're already seeing. And so a boy feels, oh, it's a woman's job, and a woman feels, oh, that is it's a man's job. Now today we have women farmers. We have women farmers. But a lot of times at the primary and secondary level, when you see pictures of farmers, you see a man with a hoe and a cutlass. Even these days, when you talk about mechanized farming, it is still the same thing. It's usually the man that sits there on the tractor, operating the tractor. And the truth is that tractors are even very easy, like I heard reliably, that they're even very easy to operate. It's just like driving a car. So if a woman can drive a car, then a woman can operate a tractor. So I have seen women operating tractors, but we don't see this. We don't get these feelings. We don't get these vibes from the lessons we teach in school. So these are things we should also know. Then another thing to look at is how to now, having established this, how do we improve this teaching? As teachers, we can use gender equitable language in the classroom. So no matter the subject you're teaching, no matter the topic you're teaching, no matter what you think should be, what you feel, or let me say, no matter the gender you feel should be dominant in that context, I think it's just best to use gender neutral language. Let your audience, in this case your students, let them be able to understand that, okay, it could be either a man or a woman. We should start to normalize using pronouns such as she/he in our classrooms, in our teaching. We should try to normalize this pronouns like they. Now there's a pronoun they. This pronoun talks about people when you don't know the particular gender. It also talks about another kind of gender orientation, but more importantly, it talks about it is used when you don't really know the gender of the person. Oh, so I met one person yesterday, they did this. You're not disclosing the gender of the person. So these children have a balanced view of life and they have a better perspective. Also, we are going to move on to gender responsive teaching materials. These are things that we use as educators in teaching our students. Okay, please, can we mute ourselves, please? Okay, so we are talking about gender responsive teaching materials, and this talk about the textbooks, our teaching aids, the videos we show our students in class, and every other thing around that. So a lot of times in our books, like I explained earlier, there are some messages that are passed silently to students and teachers alike. So a textbook is trying to depict engineers or quantity surveyors, and the textbook depicts them as all males because they feel in their own thinking, based on what they have been exposed to, based on what they have been told over the years while they were growing up, like it's not their fault, and they have formed this worldview that quantity surveying, architecture, civil engineering, those are things that are meant for men. And so when the author is writing his textbook, he depicts such people in that occupation as males. And when a little boy is looking at that, it's like, oh my God, this is my profession, this is what I can do, which is amazing. But the same content, give it to a girl, and she picks it differently. She understands it differently as, okay, this is a male, is for the men. And then even if she's so good at technical drawing, like she has all the competencies at the senior secondary level that can help her to soar in engineering related courses, she doesn't even think about it because she has been programmed. Nobody has actually told her, like, oh, her, this is not for you, but she has been programmed to think like this is for the men. And maybe she has a contribution that she's supposed to bring into the field of engineering or architecture. Maybe there's an innovation that she could have birthed in her own head, in her own mind, thinking about all of this. What happens is that the world, all of us lose out on that innovation. All of us lose out on the phenomenal things that kind of girl would have done in the field of engineering. The same thing goes for boys. There are boys that work in female-dominated professions. There are men that are chefs. There are men that work as nurses. And these are things that we look at like, how is this happening? There's nothing wrong. They are human beings. They have every right to work in every legal profession they can. But because we have conditioned our minds to think that, okay, no, this has to be for this group of people, then we look at them like aliens. And then sometimes we even taunt them. And because of that, some other people also shy away from engaging in professions, engaging themselves in sports that they feel are not meant for them, no matter how much they feel about it, no matter how much value they can bring into the field. Another thing is our teaching aids. We all know teaching aids are these materials that we bring to class that support our teaching of content. So we don't just talk about these things, we show our students. In showing the students, we as teachers should also be particular about the kind of materials we show. For example, there are instances where you would want to show a picture of the president of the country, you want to show pictures of ministers of the country, members of the cabinet, and all of that. And you realize that the first thing that comes to your mind is depicting them as males. Why? And this is not about saying males against females or females against males. It's just about giving everybody that level playing ground for everybody to be able to soar, for everybody to be able to pursue their potentials and most likely achieve their potentials. But somebody in a country like, I think, Sierra Leone, that has had a female president, they may not likely think in that direction. Unlike somebody that is in Nigeria that has not had a female president. So you would most likely realize that if you as a teacher depict a president of Nigeria in your class as a female, you would have children saying, no, how? Maybe you should just try it as a social experiment and see how your students will respond to it, because they are not used to it and they have been conditioned to say, no, it has to always be a man. So these are the little things that we see. We have seen cases where a student is in class, or let me say students are in class, and the girls in that class they're kind of disconnected from the class because they believe that the content being taught at that period, the subject being taught, the topic being taught at that period is something for the boys. Also, and that is what happens when we teach topics like menstruation or reproductive cycles, especially for females. we realize that the boys rather, they are disconnected from it. And that translates into them not understanding a female reproductive cycle. And when these girls in their class, incidentally, girls and boys are in the same class. And when these boys and girls, when they see that, oh, this girl is probably having something unusual going on with her, instead of them to provide that support, they don't provide the support for her. They intimidate her, they taunt her, they segregate them and say, oh, you are filthy, you are dirty, you don't sit beside us, don't do this, don't do that to them. Because we have made it look like it is a girl's thing. Meanwhile, it is a boy's thing. Yes, boys don't experience it firsthand, but they also have a role in supporting the females who experience it. So these are ways these things manifest. Also, as teachers, we should be very conscious of maybe the videos or the games we bring to school, or the kind of projects we ask them to undertake. So as a teacher, when you're teaching something like, maybe you're using project-based method and you want both boys and girls, you're teaching them the same topic because they're in the same class, and you want to use a project-based method to make them understand better. That is phenomenal. It's very good. But then do not give the boys the seemingly harder jobs to do. No, there should be always that mix per time. As long as girls are not incapacitated, they are not sick, they are not physically challenged, they can do it. Let us not preempt, let us not, because of our own thinking, limit or clip the wings of boys or girls in our classes. I have a student that loves to cook. Like, I think from his home, he just loves to cook. And that kind of student is a boy. When it comes to school, he's always inclined towards food and nutrition classes, home economics classes. And he's a boy, he's in shorts, he's in a shirt, right? He's always inclined towards that class. That kind of student, I'm sure, would meet people like that. Maybe boys that like to dance, boys that like to participate in cultural displays and all of that. There are languages that a teacher can use that can discourage that boy. Like, oh, leave this place, are you a girl? You have told that boy that is not for him. Why? Look at it. It's not as if it's going to, it doesn't pose a threat to other people. It doesn't harm other people. But because you feel that it is not for him. And whatever could have come out of that, maybe it's a hobby that could become something that will make money for him in the future. You have subconsciously cut that dream short, whether you realize it at that point or not. So these are the little things. When a girl is sluggish, or when a boy is sluggish in class, we have things like, oh, why are you behaving like a girl? Why are you crying like a girl? And the boy believes, oh, okay, I shouldn't be sluggish. The boy, yes, thinks at that point, oh, I shouldn't be sluggish, I should be fast, I should be smart, I should be this. Amazing. But the girl that hears you telling that boy that he is behaving sluggishly like a girl believes that, okay, it is acceptable for a girl to be sluggish. Is it acceptable? Please, let me know I'm not the only one here. Is it acceptable for girls to be sluggish?
No, please, it's not acceptable at all.
Okay, so we can ask you if it is acceptable for us to be sluggish. So these are things that we say to them. When boys and girls are in class and you're using you're probably giving them projects to do, ask them to do the practical aspect of the project together in class. Don't say, okay, let the boys do this part and the girls do this part. No. You may think you are caring for the girls, you're trying to protect them, you're doing this, but you may just be most likely killing their dreams at that point, because you're shielding them. You're shielding them from what they need to be exposed to. You're shielding them from what the curriculum even allows them and empowers them to do. But you feel that, okay, you are protecting them. And in that way, the girls don't learn what they're supposed to learn, because the boys are the ones at the front, they're the ones probably around the experiment itself, and the girls are at the back. Before you know it, girls are chit-chatting away in class. And that affects their learning outcomes, because when it comes to the examination or any other assessments, they were not there. They were in class, but they were really not in class. They were not engaging with the lecture or whatever you were teaching them at that point. So they don't get to pass the course. And then you say, oh, they're not passing because naturally the boys should do more than the girls. This is something I experienced myself, that the boys should do more than the girls. They should perform better than the girls because they are boys. They are the males. They're supposed to provide for their families. And so from that time, the girls start becoming withdrawn from education. They start becoming like a desktop. At the same time, it's also a two-way thing. It's not just focused on the girls. Sometimes, because of these things, we put too much pressure on the boys, the pressure to perform, the pressure to outdo the girls, the pressure to not disappoint, not themselves now, the pressure not to disappoint their teachers and their peers, even in things that they do not have natural competencies in. For example, we are in an art class, a boy that doesn't really have that natural tendency to be very, very creative. Maybe it's just the knowledge type that can just think about things. Maybe it's the calculative type that likes mathematics, but because it's an arts class, I would believe that, okay, this is something that is really, really meant for boys to probably do some sculpture and all of that. The boy keeps trying, and there's a lot of pressure on him. Instead, places where he's supposed to be supported, this child goes on to support the girls. That is even if the child is conscious. Okay, girls, you can do this, you can do that. But he believes that because the boy is male, he should naturally have that innate capability, and not everybody will be like that. So these things are two ways. A lot of times we are killing their passions, we are killing their potentials because of what we think. And look at it, what these things that we think about, we need to also be able to interrogate our beliefs. Why do we think that girls cannot do well in science? And we still have teachers telling their students, oh, girls, you can't, science is not for you, engineering is not for you, girls don't do well in mathematics. Like, as loose as that is, you think it is loose. Oh, girls don't do well in mathematics, they are more for English, and girls like to chit chat, they like to talk, and so they like the talking part of education. So calculation is not meant for them. You are excusing a girl's, how do I put it now, non-performance in class from that simple statement, because girl feels, oh, maybe instead of art, so maybe she has even told herself that, okay, I'm going to do my mathematics lessons, I'm going to improve my performance. Maybe the parents are supporting at home with an extra teacher that comes in to teach her mathematics so that she can just improve. But you have given her your mindset and she has imbibed it. You have told her that, no, girls really don't do well in maths, it's not for them. And then she rationalizes her low performance in maths. Like, oh, they said it's not for girls. So no matter what the parents are doing, no matter what the extra lesson teacher is doing, it's going to be like you're pouring water in a basket, because your own mindset, you have managed to transmit it to this student. So please let us be conscious of all of this. And also, lastly, I'd like to also talk about how we plan our lessons. I mentioned a bit of it when I mentioned project-based learning the other time. When we are planning our lessons, there are usually activities that we do in class most of the time, or maybe outdoor education around the school. Let us involve boys and girls together. While discussing this last week, somebody talked about their own school, where they ensure that boys and girls are like, there's a gender balance in boys and girls writing in a particular project. So for projects, they put them into teams in their classes. And for every team, there has to be both boys and girls in that team. And in that team, in each team, boys and girls should be able to, they ensure that nobody is sitting back, is nonchalant. No, you must be active, whether it's a project that is deemed feminine or a project that is deemed negative. So when they're teaching home economics and they're teaching buttons and stitches, trying to stitch, trying to sew clothes with needle and thread and everything, the boys also participate in that project. So if a group is supposed to come up with an apron, okay, the boys don't just sit down and give the girls moral support by gisting their time away. No. The boys also pick up the needle and thread, which is deemed something feminine. The boys also pick it up and then they sew, right? They make stitches. Yeah, I think that's the word. They make stitches with their own hands too. Same thing, if they're going onto the school farm to do something, the girls also wear the boots like the boys, and they carry their watering cans and they go. That way, that kind of classroom, that kind of teaching method is allowing everybody to be exposed to the same thing in the same degree, to the same extent. It is now left for the child as they grow to exhibit the competencies that reinforce their natural capabilities. So a child likes mathematics, she's a girl, she likes mathematics, and then because of that, she's turning towards computer science or engineering. And because she has also been exposed to solar energy in school, she's been exposed to recycling, she can do all of these things. So it becomes awesome at that point for her because she has the innate ability and she has also been exposed to it. And she finds it very easy to soar in engineering courses. Imagine if the reverse was the case. Yes, she still has that innate ability to take calculations fast, to be able to think around things, to be able to draw and everything. But then when she was in school, she was excluded from those hard tasks that are not hard, but we have decided that we would say that they are hard. And that way, we kill that part of her inside. She doesn't even, she might not even believe because of things she has heard and the actions of people she has seen around her. She might not even believe that she has that capability. And so we kill that. The boy too that is working as a nurse or as a chef or as a hairdresser or anything, that one also feels, oh, I can't do this because it's a female dominated profession. Who said that's a female dominated profession? Doctors are doctors. We didn't, the word doctors, we even coined it as doctors. And so teachers, when we are talking about doctors, we are talking about engineers, let us stop the use of masculine pronouns a lot of the times. Also in our class activities, our games, our sporting activities as in school, let us not say that it has to be boys. If there's a girl in your class and she wants to drum for the school, please allow her. Do not incapacitate her by saying things. Why we may not say, okay, leave that place, it's not meant for you. Words are powerful. Words are really powerful. And there's this adage that says words are like eggs. When spoken, they kind of crack and you cannot just put them together again. You cannot unsay something you have said. And for somebody that has heard it and internalized it, it takes a lot more effort for a child to unlearn that thing that you have told them. So at this point, I would like to probably take perspectives of other people, maybe their practices, things that they are seeing in practice, and let us see, or maybe there's anybody that has had issues in classes integrating this kind of thing. Maybe there have been issues in using gender responsive learning, or you think you need more support for gender responsive teaching in your classrooms. I think this is the point where we can take those inputs from other people. Do I have your permission doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I was saying, I don't know if there's anybody in the room that wants to talk to us about their perspectives in terms of the language that is used in our textbooks, the language we use as teachers, or the teaching materials, maybe the way they were even brought to us, the way these authors write their teaching materials, and this influences our lesson planning as well. Is there anybody that wants to talk to us about it? Okay, so do we call names? Because I think that, I don't like to put us on the spot, but I know we all came here today for something. Yeah, if there's any other thing you feel, okay, I think somebody is indicating. Mr. Goodness.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, you can unmute and speak.
So okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Good afternoon.
So
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
You will never know that something is there until you have an information that gives you a light there. You now start noticing that, wow, this is actually what is happening, and this is what had happened all the while, even when I was growing up. So it's this gender sensitive class is something that will I say that has been a background problem even while growing up, and still now as an educator, going through the content of what I teach and the content that is in the class, I I am surprised that we still have something like this in books and textbooks. Also harmful to, as you say, it's harmful to the next scientist that is a female, harmful to the next um how I put it farmer. How I put it, I forget what terminology to use. That could be a female to solve a particular problem because it has sidelined them subconsciously because
Yeah.
it has told them that it's not this, don't look at this place again, this is not meant for you. So looking at it now, it's like, okay, now I have to take conscious effort on whatever I'm picking at my instructional material, whatever I'm looking at the book, the statement I'm making. If I have to adjust it, it's like it's giving me a thought on how to work with this, work with it. So I hope this is how other people see this also. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have any other person that wants to share their perspectives?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. My name is Mr. Paul. It's a nice concept. I'm a teacher as well, and I've used several methods to teach. And if I may recall one particular situation, which I divide the class based on gender, we were also encouraged to do that. Sometimes if it's something that has to do with class participation, I do divide them based on gender, boys one side, girls one side. And I was surprised to know that in that I get full participation if I do it the other way, maybe mix them together. If I mix them together, I'll end up having the girls among the group not even doing anything at all. So I decided to, most times, not all the time, divide the class based on genders, boys one side and the girls one side. I want to know, is that also a gender bias or something? Because in that I saw the excitement, I saw the full participation, and I get the result and the goal for the topic. I use that most of the time. My second thing is this. In the north, like I told you, I'm from Kaduna. I don't know if you have been to the north before. Suppose in the north, if you say what you are saying, what you just present, if you say it in the north here, well, if I've been to the north, you know what I mean. Where class is naturally divided, boys one side, girls one side, not just in one school, in fact, in all the schools. So, orientations and training awareness like this shouldn't be just on online or talk. It should be a practical thing. Like I've been in some volunteering organization like that, that we don't just talk, maybe you gather people and talk. It's a doing things. If you really want this thing to have impact and effect, you take it to write to them at the doorsteps. So I will also encourage the 1 million teachers now and all the partners to do more in getting it to their doorstep rather than just gathering training. And you can train teachers and bring them together, but I tell you, in my own part here in the north, when it comes to classroom, it's a different thing entirely. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much for that interesting perspective. And what you have said about the North is very true. I'm based in Abuja too, so I have a sneak peek into what Northern culture is like. And I don't know if I mentioned it initially that, I think I mentioned it initially that teachers also have to be reflective in their practice. Maybe that was before you joined. Teachers have to be reflective and look at how, consider their unique characteristics or the uniquenesses of their location, their unique situation in doing this. So first, we have heard you. Thank you so much that for more impact, we should take our classes to we should not make them physical, online classes. We should make them physical classes. And I tell you that is in the works. Thank you so much for also being thoughtful and looking out for us. Then for situations like what we have in the north, and also some Islamic schools actually. Yeah, when we have that, I also sought the consent of somebody who works in a Muslim school in Abuja when we were preparing for this session, and she said what they do in their schools is that while it doesn't happen every time, right, because of the religious beliefs, what they do is they don't stop them from interacting. They don't do it in such a way that boys will be at the front, girls will be at the back. Because most of the time, the people who are at the back they don't get carried along as much as people who are at the front. So they kind of divide it into maybe boys on one side, girls on one side. And sometimes they also change the model just to allow them to interact well. There are different types of of sitting arrangements in class. Sometimes they bring it as a secular method. Sometimes they use the U-shaped method that will still maybe not have the boys sitting in between the girls, but at least they still get to interact with one another. And that's one of the essence of putting them together in groups for team assignments. If they cannot sit together in class, because these things they are deep-rooted, that's the truth. They are deep-rooted, they are not things that we can say, like I would say, they did not get there yesterday. So we can't just get there today and uproot them. So while we advocate for this kind of gender balance to be in the classrooms, we can still kind of work around the situation we have by instead of not getting anything at all. Like, it's change is a process, it's a gradual process. So we can start saying things like, okay, let them start working together in teams for now. When they work, nobody will say they shouldn't work together in teams. When they work together in teams, there's that coming together. They're exposed to the same content. When they sit together as teams, okay, it's maybe as a teacher, they are sitting in a particular class, boys on one side, girls on one class. But then you see, okay, this week, because we are working on different projects and each team is working together as a whole team, they have to be together, brainstorm together, and do the activities together. You can say, okay, so you guys are sitting together today, each in groups based on your groups. Let's say there are teams A to F. So on a table, you have team A. On this other table, you have team D, and things like that. That one will not kill them, at least, right, for that time, while we still find ways of adjusting these deep-seated traditions. Then, if I remember, I think those are the two things you raised. Thank you so much. Let me see if we have any other people. Okay, I think Mrs. Trustlin. Yeah, thank you for joining. Yeah, so I see you raising your hands. Please unmute and let's hear from you, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you. Good evening.
Okay, good evening. This is Trustlin, and I want to first thank you for that inspiring presentation. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. First of all, talking about gender bias, it's a very good one, like what you said about content. Number one, I want to say that for the change to start, the design of the content must be changed. It says something about, somebody said something about the schools in the north.
Yeah.
Are you getting it? Now, if the curriculum, if the content of a textbook is designed to accommodate both male and female students, equally, then sent to these schools, even in the north, let it be universal. Like when we were in school, all textbooks, curriculum were universal. And you send it to them. There is no way they will teach another thing, whereas the textbook is saying another thing, and the curriculum. Are you
Yeah.
getting good?
Yes, sir.
But I want us to note something. When you talk about male and female, even in their characteristics, in their genetics, in their creation, the males are created with physique. They have their own physique, while the women are created with a softer physique. We can't take it away. And so even when we are teaching engineering subjects, eh, and it gets to a point where we say that because a female is there, that she must pull a tractor or something, she does not have to do it. To exert herself, she does not have to do it when a male is there. So there should be a balance. I don't really like talking about gender issues. I see it as a complex issue, complex in terms of inferiority. Anywhere I go, I tell my girls, be confident, be bold. It's just a matter of time. You can see that this narrative is changing, especially when it comes to where I am in the East, it is changing. The girls, the boys, they have equal everything in the class and all things. Even in the Western world, it is changing. It's just that in Nigeria, maybe some aspects, some regions, it is still difficult. So we need to just tread softly so that we can also bring them on board. But I tell people, there's no issue in gender. There's no issue. By the time we keep talking about gender, it's complex. It's complex in terms of inferiority. I don't want to feel inferior. I don't want to be, as a female, that I must be talked about as if I'm not there. Just give us a level playing ground, and you see the female excel. So, but at the same time, we should also recognize that we have different physique and we have different characteristics. We must recognize that and also respect it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contributions. I think I like this because you have told us something very profound here. And that was why we're quite careful when we're coming up with the content for this training. It is very, very sensitive because people's beliefs, people's traditions, people's religions are attached to it, and these are things we really hold dearly. Okay, so two things. You spoke about content design of the curriculum. Yes, I understand that perfectly. And I also know that as much as we want to influence the curriculum, it's a policy decision that we cannot just change with the snap of our fingers. So while on one side we advocate for the policy decisions to be improved based on the realities on ground, we also feel that even if the curriculum is going to change, the teachers have to have that awareness that okay, this has changed, because it's possible for it to be changed and somebody will not even take cognizance of it because of their own deep-seated beliefs. Yeah, so as much as we are advocating for changing the curriculum content, we're also working on talking to the teachers to be aware of these things and also use it in their practice in the short and medium term. Then, one thing I'd like to respond to again, while not arguing with you, while understanding that I am a female and I can't lift a 50 kg load right now, right? I admit that. But I also want you to understand that most of these things are not that we are afraid of, especially for the girls, in terms of their strength and everything. Most of them are no longer applicable. The truth is, right now, we no longer do farming the traditional way with hoes and machetes and cutlasses. There are traditional ways. Even farming is coming. Agriculture is experiencing a tech revolution right now. There are different innovations talking about hydroponics, talking about aquaponics, talking about a lot of things that do not require, like you can be how do I put it now? What do you call this lady on Instagram? Like maybe a slaying farmer or something. Do you get it? She's a farmer. She writes and for tractors. You don't have to be a lady, a senior person in Abuja, that they are easier than cars. But because we don't even want somebody like me, we don't even want to get there, like, okay, this thing as it looks so ugly. It doesn't even look like something that is feminine, right? So I won't even want to interact with it, come in contact with it at all, no matter how easy it is to operate. So some of these things, I understand that we don't have to, like you said, exact pressure. No. What we are saying is, like you also rightly said, let us expose them to all of this. When a girl wants to now do this and feels, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, it's too heavy for me. It's too physically draining for me. We understand that nobody will push a child to the point of death. No. But what we are trying to say is, let us, at that point, we can start, okay, these girls' capabilities are limited for this skill. Amazing, no pushing. But let us not preempt the girls' capabilities and say, oh, you cannot do this. Oh, you're a boy, what are you doing in cultural dancing class? What are you doing? How many of your mates are you seeing Ashoke all up and down like that? Do you want to be Bobrisky or something? We have limited that boy's capabilities in dancing or baking or cooking or any other female-dominated thing we think should be like that. Yeah, so we have noted your contributions. We also work on content design of our curriculum. We'll see how much of that we can push. Thank you very much. And at this point, I think I would have to, so at this point, I think I would have to hand over to Doyi so that she can continue, because we are like out of time right now. And there's somebody that also needs to speak with us. So please, Doyi, I would like to hand over to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That was so powerful. That was inspiring, and it was very, very educative. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone that contributed in one way or the other. So quickly, I would like to invite Ms. Sophie Anjorin. She is the print category African Sustainability Lead at ACA Cluster at HP, to give us a presentation on HP Live presentation. Thank you, Ms. Sophie. Please, you can kindly unmute your mic and let's hear from you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
hello.
I can hear you.
Please, could you permit me to share my slide? It says here, host disabled, participant screen sharing.
All right, we'll do that immediately.
Thank you. So anyway, hi everyone. My name is Sophie. I work for HP, Hewlett Packard Inc. Currently, I'm based in Nigeria. However, my role is for Africa. My spare time, I'm also the ACE sustainability lead for the district. It's such a pleasure to be here to speak with all of you. I have enjoyed and honestly learned a great deal from the discussion of today. So anyway, my task for today is to talk to you about HP Live. I have a semi-fancy deck that I'm looking forward to sharing with you as soon as we can work out the technology. Great, so I've been granted access. What is HP Live? HP Live is our learning platform. It's a website, as you can see at the top of the screen here, that we have dedicated to making sustainable impact. So you've heard of Udemy, you've heard of Coursera, you've heard of Linda or LinkedIn Learning, and this is ours, right? So ours is completely free. There is no need for any paid registration. And on the site, we give certificates, right, once the courses are completed. At the moment, we have 32 free self-paced online courses for entrepreneurs, innovators, small business owners, and even students all over the world. I always express to different people that I talk to that knowledge should never be timed, and it is never finite, right? It is infinite. We should keep on seeking and trying to understand the way the world works. So on the site, and amongst the 32 free self-paced online courses, we have courses that concern business and IT skills that are needed to succeed in the global economy today. Hopefully, once these trainings are completed, it will be enough to create jobs and strengthen communities. At the moment, our courses are available in English, French, Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, Portuguese, and Spanish. But from the discussions on the call here, it's evident that almost everyone here is very fluent in English. Our courses are interactive and full of information and practical exercises. I've taken quite a few on my own, and honestly, I learned a great deal. So I have here in front of me and in front of you 5 categories, and then the courses that fall underneath. Under communication, we have amazing courses like business email, business communications. It would fascinate you to, it would really shock you to realize that many people do not know how to have proper business language when they're sending out emails, and the kind of mistakes that they make when they're addressing certain individuals. So nothing is too small to learn, as well as presenting data as I am presenting to you today. The second category that you see here is startup and innovate. And here we have fun things like 3D printing that is slowly coming to presence even here in Africa. Design thinking, strategic planning that so many organizations are endlessly and earnestly seeking individuals that are very competent in this line of work. Social entrepreneurship, growth engine for your business, and even starting a small business. To my right as well, we have finance, right? And we have sales forecasting that now we know is not limited to just salespeople, but even to, you know, the actual big time managers. And hey, the entrepreneur, you need to know how many things you need to sell to be able to break even. So it's not only technical mathematics, it's simplified in a way that anybody can understand, right? As well as cash flow, profit, loss. I'm going to quickly skim to the remaining two categories, which is marketing and operations. Marketing, we all know what the entire meaning or, you know, grouping of marketing involves. It goes from benefits to features, understanding the value proposition of a product, social media marketing, which is very prevalent today, as well as effective business websites. In operations, we have things like inventory management. Hey, we have a war going on in Europe that is actually impoverishing countries in Africa. A lot of these things could be managed just with simple inventory management, right? And again, like I said, the world is changing, but certain things will remain static. And a lot of these courses will help us to cope with this endless changing world. Well, that is all that I have for now. Honestly, I do hope that in the course of my presentation, somebody, you know, went to their website browser and typed HB Live, and they themselves registered to actually take courses as well. I don't know, in amongst the 5 categories that I've mentioned, I'm sure 1 or 2 would strike you and be of particular interest to you. So thank you so much for listening to me and for sparing the time that I was given to talk, and all the best. Thank you. I'm gonna stop sharing.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I'm very sure after the presentation, after the session, a lot of people will check it out and see what can benefit them. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and thank you so much for coming.
Super, thanks, Daisala.
All right, so please, I don't know, do we have anyone that have questions based on the presentation, or we should move on? Any questions, please?
Yes.
Okay,
Hello?
please go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Please go
can
ahead.
hear you.
Okay. I, at one point, I couldn't hear her. I don't know, does the course is come with a cost? The price, I mean to say, how much is it? That's one. We also do a kind of awareness and orientations around our own community. I don't know if this opportunity can also be shared, and if it is, what is in need and stuff like that. I would really like to know. Thank you.
Hi, Paul. So I understand that you lost me probably at the very beginning because I started by saying that it is very free. Registration is free. The certificates are free. It is our own contribution to the community in terms of sustainability impact. About the theme regarding your communities, do you mind clarifying a bit for me, because I'm a little confused when you mean just could you repeat that second side of your question, but in a way that I will understand you a lot better?
Okay, what I mean is these opportunities you are sharing, can I share it among my own community too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yes, please. We actually, as Africa, have promised to probably contribute at least 10,000 new subscribers to the HP Foundation. So please, the more the merrier. We put this out for all of our communities all across the world. So please share with your community, share with your network, the website. It's very easy to register. You can register via your Google Mail or whatever else mail platform you use. Like I said before, and I still maintain, it's entirely free. And there are 32 self-paced courses at your fingertips. So 32 certifications that are coming directly from HP. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thanks so much. That would be nice.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I have another question as to the payment. Sophie, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, fine. So I've been at a particular place before, an event where we were told to come and take these HP Life courses, and then we were going to pay, I think it was 15,000 naira then, about 3 years ago now. We were supposed to pay like 15,000 naira for these courses. And so I'm surprised because now you're saying that these courses are free. Is it that it's these people that are just coming up with fees for the same HP Life program, or you have like registered facilitators who then charge money for teaching this to other people?
So 3 years ago is a long time, but I've been lucky enough to work at HP for longer than 3 years. And I can tell you in the total course of my employment there, HP Life, at least this website and this platform has always been free. And you can look, you can check it out yourself. I have put the websites in the chat. Please go to the website and it's literally the tag flyer. It's the line, the first line that comes there. Indulge me further and register, take a course. And hey, do you have a group or WhatsApp group for this initiative? Is there one, Doyisola? Okay, if there's no WhatsApp group, whatever communication channel that you have, I beg that after you take one course, put up your certificate there as proof to the rest of the people. So I've done a couple of courses and they've all been free.
Okay, thank you. We have a mailing list through which we have this communication with members of our tribe, so to say. So I'll definitely put that as part of our newsletter so that people can be free. Only God knows how many people have had access to this information. I had access to, like I was in that class myself. So I'll let people know that it's also very free for them and would appreciate them to take these courses, especially as they stand to gain a lot from it. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. And hey, take it a step further, take one course, I don't know, a lot of them are very short, maybe the one on business email, and attach your own certificate, because like people always say, seeing is believing.
Yeah, you're right. I think we're taking one on leadership. Yeah, I think it was taking.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll just complete it and then I'll share the certificate with them to know it is free.
Perfect. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Jay, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Sophie. Thank you so much. So I'll also take the course and also upload my certificate so people can actually see that it's free. Thank you so much. So before we conclude the session, I don't know, do we still have any questions pertaining to the ideas we discussed today? Languages, teaching methods concerning gender equality and concerning gender responsiveness, please. If you have any questions, you can still ask. We still have, I think, about 9 minutes or thereabout.
Okay, maybe I can say something 1 minute. I would just like to ask people in the, I would say this and then we'll take Mr. Paulinus's contribution. So would like you to just put in the chat in maybe 1 or 2 seconds the the aspects of gender responsive education that you would like us to talk about. In the next session, we are going to talk about gender responsive classroom management, and for classroom management and also classroom setup, how you set up your classroom, talking about sitting arrangements and other things, plus how to even manage the class, how to conduct students to ensure that they are carried, both genders are carried along like equitably in the classroom for effective learning. So please, let's also see, we've seen one in the chat box. Let's also see the kind of things you would want us to talk about that will be useful for you as an educator in the chat, so that we'll prepare against next session. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Paul, can we have your question or contribution, please?
I want to say that concerning what Mr. Paul said, I've been willing to say something about it. First, I will start by saying that our culture is who we are. Our culture is our existence, our identity. So no matter how we want to evolve, we have to respect who we are, have to respect who we are. So I will start by saying that we can be gender responsive teacher even in our culture. By respecting our culture also, we can still be gender responsive. There's what I've learned is what we call circle of concern and circle of influence. The little you can influence as a gender responsive teacher, please, Mr. Paul, just find out little you can influence and influence on it. Then, second thing I want to say concerning that HP Live this thing. So I went to the site now and I'm trying to like sign up. It did not ask for password. Then going back to login, asking for password. So I want to ask why am I having the difficulty on that? So if she's still online, she should please come and address it for me.
Hi. Hello, Paulina. So, hi. What mail did you use to sign up? Is it Gmail, Yahoo? Could you please share? Excellent. So please, could you go to your email account and check if you've gotten an email from HP Live, because you should have.
Yeah, I have.
Excellent. What does the mail say?
Great password. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so I know somebody has been quite quiet. Miss Balkis Mustafa, are you here with us?
Yes. Good evening. Yes, I am.
Good evening.
Sorry, I have a very low voice. I have a cold. I've been following. It has been a very interactive session. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I didn't know you had already put something in the chat box. It was when you were already speaking. Thank you so much for being with us. And yes, I saw this. So I was thinking we could come up with a session where we'll talk about how to like integrate gender responsiveness in each section of education, like in each level, early years, primary, secondary. But you mentioning early years again has kind of validated that thought and that idea for me. And so definitely next session we are going to look at that, as well as action-based awareness for more teachers. Okay, yeah, so please, you could also help us share this within your networks to other teachers. The link is very easy, it's in your mails. Yeah, you can so help us just share it to other teachers too, so that next session we have more people who will benefit from this. And then talking to teachers has the multiplier effect. So when you get like 10 teachers get access to this, we are able to also impact more students' lives, and the society becomes better. Yeah, thank you so much. Mr. Adewale Ogunshina, do you have something to tell us before we wrap up? Okay. Joy, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I learned a lot. I'm sure you guys learned a lot as well. So I want you to also join us next week, same time, same link. We'll be talking more about gender responsiveness. And then we've taken note of every suggestion, every questions, every concern, and we'll work towards that. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Miss Sophie. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much, Mujida, for the great presentation. Thank you, Mr. Diwali. Thank you, Miss or Mrs. Balikis. Thank you, Mr. Goodness. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff and Mrs. Trustling. Thank you so much for joining. So I hope you will join us next week. And please, like Mujida rightly said, let's invite more people so that we can learn and we can start inculcating these things we've learned to people so that in, let's say, in some years to come, we won't have these issues coming up again. So thank you so much and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Please come with a certificate from HP Life next week. And on behalf of the Sustainability Hub that is implementing Project Sustain, I can tell you that we have a gift for you. Also, since we are like in-house now, I would also like to send a feedback, or you can just send us a mail. Yes, if you know anybody who is incapacitated to join because of data issues. One of our sponsors has provided data support for us. And also, if you know teachers, who we know how the whole thing is right now. If there's anybody who wants to join, but they are discouraged because they are trying to minimize their data and everything, which is very fine, please tell them once they come on board, they are going to get data support for them. So I'll send a feedback form to everybody on this call, which should also include your phone number, yeah, and your network, just in case you need data support. And we'll be sure to credit your phone numbers, not your account numbers. We'll credit, that's what we have approval for. We have to credit your phone numbers so that we can at least support item 14. I don't have item 14. Item 14 is the data support. Item 7, it's a virtual session, so I don't know about that. All right, thank you, everyone. So we hope to have you around next week, and we have taken note of everything you have said, and we're going to put them into consideration in designing our content for next week. Thank you very much. Have an amazing weekend. Bye.